The Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has assumed office as the acting governor of the state following the submission of the medical leave of the governor of the state, Akeredolu, to Germany again for his checkup. Good afternoon and welcome to Nigeria Now. We'll be looking at various stories, looking at some of the things that happen in Nigeria and how we can also provide solutions, if possible, to them. I'm Sada Laishdashim. I'll be doing the program with Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sarah.
All right, and to our viewers who are following, remember you can follow us live on Facebook, on YouTube. Drop your comment, your contribution on any of these issues we shall be bringing to the table this afternoon. And we'd love to go to Ondo State and actually start there, because I think there's no better place to start than looking at the back and forth that has been happening. I mean, you will recall that from September, we've been having back and forth in that state, coupled with the fact that presently there's already the issue of signature forgery that is actually ongoing, and still a lot of people are checking into it, especially stakeholders in the state, looking at forensic report. It's been working to be sure, was it actually being forged? Because following the ailments, because we are aware that the governor was absent from the state from April down till July, and even after coming back into the state, he was still not active. In power. But then, you know, the issue of whether to impeach the deputy or not, we remember we saw that back and forth coming from the Speaker of the House and none of that. And we've seen that yesterday again, the governor has submitted a medical leave. Already reports are having that he has been struggling with cancer for a number of months, right? And according to his medical practitioner, he was being advised to go back for another checkup. And so yesterday he submitted the leave, handed his power according to the Constitution of Nigeria to the deputy governor to be acting in that capacity. Today he actually addressed the people of Ondo State in a press conference, addressing the issue of his impeachment, and also saying that he is wishing the governor a quick recovery. But then looking at the back and forth in that state, I mean, I remember you and I talking about the fact that not only Ondo, we've been seeing a number of states, even Edo State, having issues. But then today we'll be looking at that of the Ondo State, and then looking at the fact that presently, right now, we're seeing that the governor has taken over, or the deputy rather has taken over power.
You know, Sally, our prayer and thoughts goes to Ondo State Governor Akeredolu, and we do wish him a quick recovery. We wish him total healing and renewal, and then above all that, man, it will be positive this time around. The leave, the medical leave, whatever checkup he has to do. I mean, it is the 5th time, so of course we know that this is a health challenge that is very serious. However, I'd just like to build on the fact that the Ondo State House of Assembly took too long to just make certain things the way it should be. And I felt politics was too much at play when it comes to the transition of power. Because for sure, when we see a governor away for months, we know that it is a very serious health challenge. Now, whether he was back or not is one thing for you to be available or on seat. Is another thing for you to be active. And I think this is the case in Ondo State, that the fact that Akeredolu came back and you are seeing the need to give him back the power and not leave the Aiyedatiwa as the acting governor, and the back and forth, the impeachment, it shouldn't be in the first place. Because I don't think Aiyedatiwa is just trying to take the position of acting governor, which should be done constitutionally, even if the governor is back, but he's not active. And whether we like it or not, that is the reason why we are having forged signature issues, because the governor haven't been active, and we have an opportunist taking advantage of that. So imagine, if you know the critical condition of your governor, imagine a situation where despite him being back, there wasn't that taking back of power, knowing fully well that he wouldn't be active, and that you are kept on as acting governor until you know that, first of all, the governor have recovered fully, and he's not only present but active, that his hands will be on deck doing his work and signing everything. There won't be an issue of all this gap or lapses in the first place. So I believe that, the National Assembly at Ondo State, the State House of Assembly in Ondo should have acted in a way that shouldn't have given any gap for forged signatures, because is coming to light. Imagine the damage that would have been done. Perhaps is now that the acting governor will sit down and see that perhaps many things have come out of the office of the governor that shouldn't be. Many things have been signed, many money and all of that. And before you know it, perhaps a huge amount of damage would have been done. So next time, I believe that when we talk about cancer, Sele, it's not a fever. Okay, it's not just some harmless tumor that perhaps he traveled to Germany to get and he's back and he's up and doing. Nobody knows what stage it is at this time. And since we are seeing this back and forth of medical leave, then it is very serious. And for that reason, they should have done whatever possible to not allow any excess in the government that could lead to such problems. So I believe that this should be for every other state. We're not wishing any governor, but in a situation where a governor can be on seat, let's not play with power, because the damage that will be done within a short period of time, you would not know, because there are people waiting to take opportunity of any lapses in a government. So we wish Ondo State the best. We wish the governor quick recovery. We hope that Lucky will do the best for the state in his acting position, and then everything will turn out well and perfectly for them.
Listening to this back and forth from the State House of Assembly and then back to the executive, it just tells you that, you remember when we were looking at the issue of the rivers crisis, it was still about separation of power. We're seeing where the executive and the legislative are actually having kind of, you do not know what you are supposed to do at a particular time and all of that. But just like you rightly stated, I mean, there are people who are just looking for the slightest opportunity to take advantage of an absence and do things that are not right. So just as he's on leave right now, we're just like you said, we are hoping that and everything will be rectified. And we are wishing Ayeda Tiwa the best of luck. He should make sure that he does everything in his power to make sure that the people of Ondo State will feel safe. And I hope that the lawmakers over there also will give him all the support that he needs in carrying out responsibility. Now, talking about the different arms of government, I would like us to look at our judiciary. At this point where we're seeing the National Assembly have rejected the budget for the judiciary. And we're looking at an arm of government, Richard, that a lot of people have actually criticized for the past few months, I mean, throughout this election. They have been on the limelight where a lot of people were talking ill about the judiciary, that they have been used as puppets in the hands of the executive, in the hands of politicians. They do not know what they want to do. They have been bought. And then you remember, apart from the fact that during the 2021 issue of passing of the law where we saw autonomy for the legislative and the judiciary alongside, they were being given the power to actually act on their own without necessarily seeking support or depending on another. But looking at these funds that was actually given to them, Richard, you will agree with me that they look more like they are begging. And then we are looking at where the judiciary would be comfortable to carry out whatever responsibility. I mean, today you and I during the morning show saw when the Chief Justice of Nigeria was actually telling the judges in the Federal High Court to be very careful before making any judgment. And we remember what happened in Kanu, so where we saw an error, and then we were after them and like, you should have done better. Now, where we are seeing room, I mean, giving them 5.3 billion naira, and that is just for capital expenditure, and then 8.8 billion naira for recurring expenditure, the 2024 budget. And they have come out to say this money is not enough for them to carry out their responsibility.
I mean, we're seeing sorry, Sally, for just cutting you before you. We're seeing the National Assembly summoning the directors for the Debt Management Office to come and explain such money. Yes, to come and explain what this kind of allocation for our judiciary is. And we saw the Attorney General of the Federation saying, you know what, we need additional money and all of that. So like this can be said, right, for many other sectors. However, let's focus on the judiciary. And I want to focus on the judiciary and our law enforcement, because they work hand in hand. And we can say the same thing, that a lot of our sectors are defunded. We can say a lot can't stand and argue their cause and say we need more. However, for the judiciary, this is one place that should be the last hope for a common man. And therefore, there shouldn't be room for compromise whatsoever. And when they're not getting enough funds, it gives room for a lot of compromise. And that should be the fear of everybody and every Nigerian. But what was the Debt Management Office given to work with. I mean, our lawmakers ready for our recurrent budget expending to be less than 9.92 trillion, because it's one thing for you to call them and say, come, what are you doing? And it's another thing, are you ready to make the sacrifice that you can be defunded for the judiciary to be funded? Because that's it. We have to work between a budget we can afford. It's one thing for us to feel they need more. The second question is, where are they getting it from? The more that you are asking to be added on top. Because just as we said, we're looking at our budget going as high as 20, we're taking about a round figure, 30 trillion or more. And it means more deficit. We've done this math over and over. There's no need going over it again. So now, yes, they do need it. But where is the funds coming from? Where will it come from? Are you ready for your recurrent spendings to be cut, to be added into all the personnel costs? Are you ready to reduce your aid, to reduce your expenses, to cut the cost, so that perhaps we can take from you and then give to the judiciary? However, it should be added, because this is down to law enforcement. I believe that when these two sectors are defunded, it means that more crime will thrive. And we saw where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying that, you know what, insecurity is his top priority in the country, and he will not stop until he restores peace into the country. And I know that we might only be focused on terrorism when he talks about insecurity, but whether we like it or not, Sele, petty crimes and all the criminal activities happening in Nigeria is consuming more lives as equal as terror.
Look at illegal mining as well.
Exactly. It's eating up the country as equally as terrorism, if we are going to be honest. We saw how people were killed because of robbery. And armed robbers. About 4 people died in Ekiti State. Exactly. We saw that. So these people should be funded. Whatever should be done should be increased, because you know what? I keep saying, let the government put these judiciaries and our law enforcement in the position where they do not have whatsoever excuse to compromise, because they are being taken care of. And this indirectly means that you cannot stand and say your pay grade is not good enough. You cannot stand and say your allowances are not good enough. So what is your reason? Mere greed and selfishness. I'm looking forward to our government putting these two very important like arms
of government.
Yes, exactly, in our country, in that position, so that we will also, because they are also criminals when they compromise. It automatically make them criminals when you compromise. So the people that are to enforce the law and to make sure that there is no crime becoming the criminals, then it shows that we're not going anywhere. So whatever be the outcome of it, I know that our budget being increased means more deficit, but the judiciary is just one arm that shouldn't suffer when it comes to lack of funds in this country.
You know, looking at the fund given to them, looks as if that is the arm of government that has been looked down upon in this country. And that shouldn't be the case, Rachel. So I'm just hoping maybe they will take your advice by cutting down their own budget and then adding up to the judiciary, because just like we said, they need this fund to actually carry out justice in this country. If the National Assembly is serious about the fact that, you know what, the judiciary should be independent, even when it comes to their funding, when it comes to the independent carrying out everything, then, I mean, it shouldn't just be about words. But then let us see the National Assembly being serious and backing up their words with actions. Now, let's round up the show by looking at, finally, yesterday, the Federal Executive Council had their meeting, and among the things they discussed was the fact that, you know what, let public tertiary institution, let them be. I mean, this back and forth, the federal government can't have it anymore. And so they've decided that they should be out of the IPPIS. I would remember the back and forth we kept having. I mean, you and I also look at how much it would take to fund it. And then I was asking, I mean, looking at some of the things the Minister of Education said, where he said that it would take them so much time before they're able to upload and all of that. And I asked, if this was taking or giving the Vice Chancellor so much time, why is it taking the government so much time? Or better late than never, rather. But then why did it take the federal government so much to actually look into this and say, you know what, let them use their UTAS because that is what the university wants use, because not only the university, we're looking at polytechnics and other tertiary institutions as well. Now the question will be, why did the government take too long to do that? I mean, right now they are also saying not only about IPPIS, but you know what, the universities can actually go ahead, do employment, because you've been complaining about your short staff and all of that. So right now you have the field day, do whatever you think will help you to actually carry out so much. But my question, Rachel, is why now?
Why now? I mean, Sele, for me, right, the tertiary institutions might be happy, ASU might be happy because they are one that kicked against the IPPIS and all of that. And in as much as it is important, Sele, for the federal government to say, okay, you know what, our tertiary institutions, do your biddings, be in charge of your salary, your employment, and all of that. At the same time, I just hope that before moving for this, we have the tertiary institution weighing all of these things. Because you just said it, right? That you do not have the capacity to give the federal government IGR of 40%. It means that you're still struggling. It means that you're still struggling. And independence, to a large extent, despite funding, comes with so much responsibility, Sele. And perhaps, this will be me speculating, of course, there's no fact to it. Perhaps now the government is saying, okay, have it your own way. And you might suffer it at the end of the day, because if you think that you want to be on your own, go on with your salary, just get a lot of lecturers that you need, you might come to a point where you will hook because you want to be on your own.
That will stop the federal government from funding. It's still a public varsity, right?
Well, it won't stop, but there is some amount of control. I believe that this is where drawing the line might be difficult for the university, because they might be at the position where we need this, right? Because they see the need. However, when do you know how to stop at what you need and what you can provide for? I believe that this can also be a problem in the near future. But then this is a group of very intelligent people, I must say. And then I just hope that they know when to and when not to, when to stop and when not to start regarding running the affairs of certain places. Because regardless of the funding coming from the federal government with independence, also I hope that they raise a body for check and balance and accountability.
Very important,
because
Rachel.
these are all of the things that you need to put in place. And before the government should have allowed them, there was a need for us to see what is your accountability channel, what is your transparency, what is, because we don't want to wake up tomorrow, Sele, and see all the funding going to our tertiary institutions, universities, and because they are independent, they do not account back for what it is, and they just keep demanding, and they're not being able to show anything for it. Because we've talked a lot about our tertiary university and how there are certain things that they should also have been able to be doing by themselves now. However, we are seeing some lapses. Exactly, Sele. So this is my concern for me, in as much as I am very happy that they don't have to be on the IPPIS. I mean, am I supposed to be happy? The only reason I'm being happy is seeing how much the government is paying on accounts created to be able to manage it. That is just where the angle I'm coming from, that no, we can't be spending this money internationally when we can come up with a structure here. $44 is a lot of money, and imagine the millions of federal government employees in Nigeria and how much we're enriching on borrowed funds and all of that. So that is the reason why I'm on the happy side, that we can cut down the cost for the government automatically, even if they didn't want it in the first place, but it will go a long way, that the resources are not all going towards some foreign companies, but we still have some of it left for us here.
Well, we're seeing almost everybody is coming out, and every institution is saying, you know what, we just want to be on our own. We just want to be independent. We just want to run our own affairs. But just like we said, even before then, I mean, we've seen other, for university, even though it's not just university that are actually
colleges of education.
We have College of Education, polytechnics, and other institutions that are under it. But then we've seen whereby rectors, or we've even seen where VCs have actually gone ahead to, do something for their schools. I mean,
We have.
building of good facilities for the students to be comfortable. So I'm hoping that this will not just like you said. I mean, the government, I'm very sure they give it with one hand and collect it with one
Of
hand and
course.
reach. That I'm very certain about. Why did I
Yes.
say that? Because they will definitely audit
They
for
will.
every fund that come into
They
the
will. And
tertiary
perhaps they
institution.
will insist on this
They will
40%
insist
idea
on this
if
because they say they can
eventually.
go ahead and also create their own revenue.
Exactly. So
however
you
they
will
choose
start
to.
giving
So
back
that's
to the
what I'm saying
government.
is with
True.
one hand and getting with the other hand. But I just hope that the universities, the tertiary institutions collectively will be smart about this, and then they
Yes.
will utilize every penny that comes into the school to actually use it and actually build. I mean, yesterday we saw whereby also the ASWA threatened that, 2024 we might go on strike if we are saying that the allocation of education is
Yes.
not being increased. So you can see that, I mean, there's quite a number of things to be unpacked on this whole issue. But we are hoping that
Yeah.
they will come to an understanding and then things will go well in the educational sector. Well, Rachel, thanks for doing
You're
this
welcome,
with me.
Phoebe.
And thank you so much to our viewers and supporters for keeping the date on Nigeria Now. Until we come tomorrow, do have a great day ahead.